What is up, everyone? Welcome to our post SmackDown review show here on Sportskeeda Wrestling. It's Denise Salcedo. And before we get started with the show, I just want to remind you all that Rick Ucchino is not in with us this weekend because Rick just had a baby. So he took some time off to spend with his baby. So we congratulate Rick Ucchino on all of that. But I do want to go ahead and introduce to you my guest for today. And Ryan, you guys have seen him before. Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan K. Boman. What's up, Ryan?
Thanks for having me on again, Denise. It's always good to talk to you.
Yeah, I feel like it's always pretty fun, having you on here. You're always such a great person to fill in. And when, Rick is gone and out, we got to start calling out Rick on all the times that he's been, MIA.
Well, it's a very special thing that's happened in his life. So congratulations to Rick. He deserves the time off.
Seriously, no, he really, really does. And we're really excited for him. But Ryan, we do have SmackDown to talk about. By the way, we have lots of people here in the chat. So I'm going to quickly give some shout outs to people. Shout out to Ozzy Medoras, who's in here, Paul Koronkowski, John Nell Jackson, Philip Chavin, Paul, who says, dumbest ending to SmackDown ever. Interesting. I didn't feel that way. And Philip Chavin also says, congratulations to Rick and his family. Ryan, let's get right into SmackDown because this was a heavy loaded episode of SmackDown. I got to say a pretty good one. Before we get into everything in depth, just sort of give us your overall thoughts on how you felt about the show this week, especially heading into TLC.
Well, it's Roman's show. It was very Roman Reigns heavy tonight. And I love what they're doing building, with Kevin Owens. Immediately they started off with the promo. I'm one of those people. I know a lot of people think Kevin makes a better heel. I love Kevin Owens as a babyface. I love him as a good guy. For some reason, I can get behind him. So I think that really, it makes sense heading into the show the way that they built it. And he certainly took a beating tonight several times, but he just keeps coming back like Rocky,
He really does. And I think that you nailed it on the head where you said this was a very heavy Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns show here tonight. They were definitely a focus on the major chunk of SmackDown. And then obviously they had some interaction in the middle and then towards the end as well. So a little bit of everything here today. We do have a comment from Scott Frame who says, Kevin Owens got his butt kicked then, now, forever. I think that's a really great way of putting it because that's definitely what we saw here today. We have a comment from Kishem M who says Bailey winning is a good thing. It is realistic if everyone who is expected to win wins. Wrestling would be boring. Oh, we will get into that because I think a lot of people had some very difference of opinions, when it came down to the Bailey Bianca Bel Air match. But we're going to go ahead and kick it off talking about the whole situation with Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns since that was a major focus of this show. So let's start off with the opening segment, which was really roughly the first 20 minutes of SmackDown. So bear with me. A lot happened. So I'm just going to give you guys a quick rundown of what went down. So Kevin Owens comes out and he says that he is not waiting a minute longer and calls out Roman Reigns. After last week's beatdown, Roman said that he, that he should talk to his family and tell them to change Kevin Owens' opinion. Kevin Owens then says that he did talk to his family, but that he told them that he doesn't want them to watch because he doesn't want their opinion of them to change. After this, he calls out Roman Reigns. Paul Heyman comes out on the big screen and says, you know what? Roman Reigns comes out on his own time. He doesn't come out when you want him to. Kevin Owens then goes to the back, tries to get at Roman Reigns, but Roman Reigns is not there. And then Roman Reigns comes out to the ring and they are just completely missing each other here. And basically Roman Reigns then says that he's given him the opportunity to acknowledge him as a tribal chief, the head of the table. KO comes out and, they both go at it. Both Jay and Roman Reigns ambush him. It was a lot that went down in that first segment. So just the top of this all, what did you think about everything that went down?
Well, I thought it started off the show pretty hot. I thought everything went really well. They kind of, Kevin came out and cut a really great promo. He's one of the best guys on the mic anyway. And then Roman comes out and it just helped set everything up between the two of them. Again, I felt like it's a good build for the pay-per-view.
I I think so too. That's one of the matches that I personally was already looking forward to just because I knew that the storytelling from Roman Reigns' part would be good. And I knew that the action from Kevin Owens' part would be even better. So I feel that they did a good job at really pushing forward this storyline. If you were already excited for this match, I think after tonight's show, I think that level of excitement has definitely gone above and beyond. Do you feel that way about this match heading into it for TLC?
I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. I mean, I don't expect Kevin to win the title, but at the same time, he's being very convincing as sort of like the underdog in this match. So that's all you can ask for. I mean, it's basically he's selling the match pretty much. So it to me it is what it is. I mean, I'm sure that Roman will probably come out with the belt, but it's still they did a good job tonight in really making him look like I said, kind of like Rocky Balboa, the guy that won't stay down.
Exactly. Because even afterwards, you saw them, go at it in the ring, and they put Kevin Owens through a table twice and then piled him on with tables, ladders, and chairs, and pretty much everything that you can think of, smacked him back and forth with the chairs. I mean, he went through hell and back, and then even afterwards, he comes out and he basically says, like, I'm gonna die. I'm either gonna win the Universal title or I'm gonna die trying. And I think that even though a lot of us think, okay, going into this match, it's very predictable that Roman Reigns is going to win, I think that Kevin Owens has done his part and at least, maybe just possibly putting a little speck of doubt in some people's minds.
No, I would agree with that wholeheartedly.
And we have a comment from Marcus Brown. So, by the way, if you guys are watching live, feel free to send in your thoughts on this whole situation with Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens, and we'll go ahead and read your comments here on the air. We have one from Marcus Brown who says, Roman just proved that he's the best on all the rosters, WWE, AEW, or Impact. He's better than 99.99% of the wrestlers in the world. Do you feel this strongly about it, Ryan?
Well, I'll tell you one thing that I think that he's improved on the most since he made this kind of turn is that he's so much better on the microphone than he was several years ago. He was always a great athlete. I mean, he's got the size, he's got the power, he's got the look. Obviously, he looks like $1 million. He looks like a movie star. But the one thing that he always lacked was his ability on the microphone, and I think that's where he's improved the most.
Oh, yeah. I think ever since, we've seen him, really collaborate, team up with Paul Heyman, you've really seen this shift. I don't know if it's maybe confidence, if it's just experience, or it's just, whatever it is that he's doing that he's been doing since he turned heel, since he's been working with Paul Heyman. It's definitely showing because it's in everything, not just the promo skills, but it's even in his, the way that his facial expressions, the little things that he does that really go a long way. We have a comment from Tom Colaza who says Roman will keep his title. Marcus Brown also says, very lit show. Roman is the best in the world. Agreed. Paul Karanskowski says, how many times can Jey Uso hurt Kevin Owens without even getting fined? I mean, it's wrestling, right? So it is what it happens the way it does. And Ryan Markham says, Kevin is way over in on his head. You know what's interesting about this? So earlier today, when we did the prediction show here on Sportskeeda with myself and John Alba, everybody in the comment section was like, I want to see Kevin Owens win. I want to see Kevin Owens win. But I think here tonight, I'm seeing a little bit of some people Roman, some people Kevin Owens. So it's pretty interesting to me. Do you have, you just said like we were definitely seeing Roman Reigns win, but Philip Shaven says the new Universal Champion at TLC, Kevin Owens. Marcus Brown says Kevin Owens is a tough son of a gun. And we have another comment from Kalasa Razi who says, I know this has nothing to do with Kevin Owens and Roman, but the Fiends versus Randy Orton is now an Inferno match, so the Fiend should set Randy on fire and normal brain Alexa sing Burn in My Light. Oh my God, you guys have some creativity here. So I think overall, okay, we have a comment from Jake Larson. I'll read this one as well. He says, fans have wanted a Roman turn for years, and he is killing it. It's almost as though the fans are sometimes right. Maybe WWE can take notice. And then SK Wrestling says, the real question is, what does Jimmy Uso think of all of this? I don't know. It seems like people have very different opinions on how they feel about this whole Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens situation. But I think I agree with you, Ryan, in the sense that they really have done a good job at getting this, getting everything that they're doing over.
And I think Jake is right. I think the Roman heel turn probably should have happened the night after he beat The Undertaker, when he came out on Raw and the fans literally booed him for about 5 minutes straight. That's when they should have made the turn, but he's done a good job with it this time.
And we do have a comment from Paul who says, Roman is a coward, has his cousin to do all the dirty work. I don't agree with this 99% and the best in the world. He is a coward. Boy, we are torn up in this chat room. This is pretty interesting, kind of fun. So this was obviously the majority of SmackDown, definitely the biggest storyline to talk about. But let's go ahead and talk about some of the other things that happened on the show. So let's move on to Street Profits versus Ziggler and Rude for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. What did you think of this match, Ryan?
You know, it's strange because I admire all four of these guys, but it just seems like the Street Profits, they've kind of become lackluster since they made it to the main roster. What do you think?
So I feel that it's I don't think it's their fault necessarily, obviously, but the problem is really that there aren't any other tag teams for them to really work with. That to me is the major issue, because to be honest, for me, it doesn't get me excited to see Street Profits versus Ziggler and Rude. For me, it doesn't do anything. This match itself, I thought, was your regular, everyday, random tag team match that you're going to be seeing, like that you would find on a Raw or something like that. It didn't have any substance to it. I thought that the only great spots in this match, or the great moments, in this match, were really when Angelo Dawkins came in and really picked up this pace. But even then, that happened so quickly. And right after that, we did get that win from the Street Profits, but this did absolutely nothing for me. There wasn't any sort of moment during this match where I thought, oh my God, Ziggler and Rude should win this. And considering that it's for the SmackDown Tag Team titles, it sort of feels like we should have a little bit of that. Like maybe, just maybe, we might want to see the other team win. I didn't feel that whatsoever.
Yeah, there were a couple matches tonight. I thought the show overall was okay, but that was one of the matches that kind of let me down tonight.
And we do have a difference of opinions here. Ozzy Medora says Street Profits did an awesome job, good match. And Colossal Rossi also thought it was a good match. iChurch Pastor Blaster says he's not a fan of this feud. And Vinay Kumar says Rude is underutilized. Do you agree with this statement?
Oh, yeah. I think he's always been, we came in and he had such a great debut. He always had that great theme song. Everybody popped when they heard that the first chords of that music. And it just seems like now he's just sort of become like a mid-card guy. And it's sad because he had all the potential in the world to be, possibly be a champion in that company.
Philip Shaven says Street Profits are awesome. Great match tonight. Okay, so clearly I must have seen a totally different match because I didn't feel this way about it at all. Colossal Rossi says Dawkins has improved so much. I feel like Dawkins...
I'd agree.
I think like for a long time, sometimes he would be in the shadow of Montez Ford, where Montez Ford would come out and do all these flashy moves. And it's very easy when you're so flashy, right? And then Angelo Dawkins was sort of in the shadows, but I think now he's bringing his own flavor to the tag team.
Yeah, I mean, there always seems to be like the Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty comparison when you come to tag teams where one guy's the star and the other guy's sort of the extra hand in the ring. But I think that those two actually work really well together, and they're very even in a lot of ways.
Exactly. Michael Burge says Bobby Roode is one of the best tag team competitors in the world, dating all the way back to America's Most Wanted and Beer Money back in TNA. The fact that he doesn't have a title is a tragedy. Marcus Brown says, I know this has nothing to do with the show, but will Seth Rollins return as a face? And I want his second coming theme to return. I don't like his current one too much. Any thoughts, Ryan?
Well, I don't know. I would think if Seth makes a return, he's going to get a big pop anyway. Everybody that goes away and comes back, they automatically get a big, huge, response from the audience. So they'll probably bring him back as a babyface. That would be my thought anyway.
Yeah, but I completely agree with you. Anybody that, has been gone for a while is going to come back and get a pop at some point, especially if there's somebody that, the fans genuinely enjoy. But I do really think that in order for the tag team division to thrive, obviously, it doesn't take a scientist to say this or someone incredibly smart, more tag teams. more tag teams to fill up that division so we won't be getting the same matches constantly over and over. Now, let's move on to this one because this next match also continues that theme of tag teams and tag team divisions. And this is the Riot Squad versus Billie Kay. And then she brought in a new partner for her today, and it ended up being Tamina of all people. How did you feel about Tamina teaming up with Billie Kay, and how did you feel about this match?
This was another one of the matches that it just didn't do anything for me. I'm watching it, and I actually took a bathroom break during that match. It was like, hey, I mean, they're not that the ladies don't bust their butt in the ring and everything like that, but there's just some of the girls that they just bring nothing to the table for me.
I think, and it's unfortunate too, because the Riot Squad, speaking of the Riot Squad, there's somebody that, I mean, we've all seen this. Well, most of us have seen, the 30-minute Chronicle episode on Liv Morgan, the Live Forever documentary on the WWE Network. And it's been very unfortunate that nothing has come of that. She essentially went back to the Riot Squad and they continue on to really doing the same thing. So there was all of this, months of really just teasing and hesitation for nothing to really go down. So that's unfortunate for the Riot Squad. They should definitely be, either tag team champions or really be in that picture. Billie Kay, for me personally, I do think that she should be a singles competitor. She shouldn't be with like all of these other people, definitely not with Tamina. And she should definitely be there, put more of an emphasis on her as a comedy wrestler, because it works for her. She does a good job and the people like it. And it's so hard to get comedy over, and a wrestler that does comedy doesn't always stick with people. And I think that Billie Kay is doing that. Unfortunately, I have to agree with you in the sense that not everybody here, tickles my pickle, and that's definitely going to be with Tamina. Unfortunately, this is kind of like, all right, it's Tamina. She's slotted already. We don't expect much from her. And I thought commentary tried really hard to make Tamina, a thing tonight, and it just wasn't sticking whatsoever.
Yeah, it was just kind of stale in a lot of ways. And Tamina, don't get me wrong, I mean, she's a powerhouse. She can definitely throw girls around in the ring, but she just doesn't do anything for me as far as her charisma or her ring presence, so to speak.
I think so too. And Kashen M says, why does everyone hate Tamina in the ring? She seems fine to me. But I think you really just then answered that question, where there's not really anything extra. Being fine isn't good enough when you're at the top, when you're on the main roster. Like, you gotta bring something extra to the table. Colossal Razi says, Riot Squad are criminally underrated. Philip Shaven says, love the Riot Squad. I think we all want to see more for the Riot Squad, right?
I do. I definitely do. It's just, again, it's how you're utilized in a lot of ways. I mean, I think Ruby Riot is super talented. And I think Liv, has a lot of potential. She's definitely improved a lot. It's just kind of like, they've always sort of just been, at one time when they were put with Paige, you thought maybe they would really get a chance to go to that next level, but then it just kind of flatlined for them.
Yeah, and it's very, very unfortunate. We do have a comment from Jake Larson who says, surprise, surprise, two more wrestlers thrown together when the Iconics were literally iconic. Yeah, and we've had this discussion definitely on the Raw streams, where it's like, why tear this team apart if you're not necessarily going to do anything with Peyton or Billie? How do you feel about this when a team is torn apart and you think, okay, maybe they're going to do their thing, it's going to be great, and then it's not?
Well, I think this whole storyline where Billie keeps bringing out these different partners is that eventually it's going to lead to her reuniting the Iconics, because it's clearly not working with all these other different partners. So I think that we're going to see an Iconics reunion at some point.
Wow. Okay. Because I didn't expect that, because I would like it just because, see, but here's my thing with that is that I feel like once a decision is made, I like for the decisions to stick. I don't like for a decision to be made and then for them to go back on it. I'm not a fan of that. Like, even if I wasn't a fan of, so-and-so breaking up, I prefer, if you're going to do something, if you're going to make a choice, stick to that choice, because nobody likes the back and forth side of things. You just don't, I personally, I don't care for it. Like, you're going to make a choice, stick with it, roll with it, find a way to make it work.
Yeah, well, You know, you always get that. I'm sorry, you always get that pop though. Again, like we always talk about that. If she brings out, her former partner in a big match, the people are going to go crazy for that. So it's just, it's always one of those things where I think it's kind of a yin and yang type of situation.
There definitely has to be more time, though, for that to happen. There's got to be way more time in between. Because I'm all for that. Like, oh my God, like the reuniting of, two people that used to team together or somebody that was in the same stable. I am completely all for that, but it's definitely too soon. So at this point, I would rather just see, them do something with Billy and then do something with Peyton, respectively on their own. Paul Kronkowski says, only interesting thing of the match of Billy and Tamina versus the Riot Squad is we found out Tamina's profile. She's a mother of 2 girls. That's the only fun thing of that match. I didn't even notice that on her profile. Did you?
No, I didn't see any of that. I know that they've been doing a lot of stuff. I noticed they flashed a couple different little Twitter feeds tonight, from people, and they've been showing a lot more stuff from social media and all that on the show, but I did not see that.
And then we also have a comment from Michael Bunch who says, most of the women on the roster between both brands are completely overshadowed by the 4 horsewomen, and it's an absolute shame. Do you agree with the statement?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I think there was so much emphasis on Charlotte for so long. It was Charlotte and, and Bayley and all, really all 4 of them for a long time. And it almost sort of like buried the rest of the ladies roster.
And Janelle Jackson brings up a point about, tearing teams up. And he says they had Tucker turn on Otis and now they're not doing anything with Tucker. There's probably another one that people would, we just had somebody bring that up. So it's obviously something that's in people's mind. Philip Shaven says, Denise, aren't you happy tonight? No Lars Sullivan tonight. Ryan, you haven't been here to chat about Lars Sullivan because Rick definitely is not a fan of the Lars Sullivan thing. I'm not a fan of the Lars Sullivan thing. How do you feel about the Lars Sullivan thing? And do you have any, speculations on why we haven't been seeing him as of late?
I don't know. He's had so many issues. I didn't know why they even really pushed him after all the things that he's done outside the ring and had all the problems and social media things that he's, kind of made the company look bad. I don't know why they even gave him the push. I don't see it. For me, I just don't see it. He's big and he's ugly. That's kind of the only 2 things that he brings to the table, really.
I like that. Big and ugly. It's unfortunately not always going to work there. Okay. It's not going to work. Michael Campbell says, I think that Tamina is nearing the age where she is trying to retire with some dignity. Okay, I could take that. Yeah, I could accept that. And scrolling through the rest of the comments here, we have one from iChurch Pastor Blaster who says, I think how they're handling Bianca is showing they really don't know what to do with her. They're all over the place. We will get into that a second once we get to that match. So let's go ahead and hop on over to the next match and we'll make our way there. So actually the next thing that we had after this match was the Carmella segment with her champagne. I know they were giving this an official title. I completely forgot the official title of this segment. So I'm calling it the champagne segment, okay? She comes out. She has her sommelier there setting up all of the champagne bottles. And she comes out in this great, fantastic outfit and basically says that she's better than everybody. She says that Sasha Banks is weak. She tastes her wine and she says it's cheap and frantic, similar to Sasha Banks. And then Sasha Banks' music plays and they think she's going to come out, from the entrance ramp, but instead she comes out from behind and they two go at it. But then obviously, Carmella has her sommelier there to help her out. He pulls Sasha Banks' legs off of Carmella and Carmella gets her with the champagne bottle. So how did you feel about this whole segment? What are your thoughts on Carmella's character? The whole deal.
I hate to cross over to AEW, but didn't you kind of feel like it was an MJF kind of segment? I'm better than you and you know it.
No, I didn't know. I thought it more of like the use of the word bubbly. And I think it's because it's a word that's obviously used that when people talk about champagne, people that don't even know about wrestling, this is an everyday thing. But I think because in wrestling, it's been so associated now with Jericho, I think that's more of where my brain went, but I didn't necessarily compare it to, an MJF thing, the whole I'm better than you, just because I feel like everyone sort of does the whole I'm better than you thing.
But I will agree with you. She looks stunning in that dress tonight.
She did. How did you think of the promo? I mean, aside from the whole it reminding you of MJF.
Well, the thing that I actually wrote down, because I was telling you I was taking notes earlier before we got on here, and the thing that I've noticed the most is how much some of these folks have, again, like Roman, have their promo skills have improved so much over the years, the time, the experience they've been able to gain, and I think Carmella is one of those people. When she first came up to the main roster, she wasn't very good on the microphone, but she's doing really well, I think, now in this role.
Yeah, I think that she has definitely exceeded my expectations in terms of this whole character in general. I'm liking what I'm seeing every week. However, I think this week I did see, some difference of opinion. Some people, Colossus Rossi says that Carmella cut a fantastic promo. And then we have people that didn't feel that way. Janelle Jackson says, I didn't like the promo by Carmella. I know a few people felt that maybe it went on too long or that, she didn't get to say as much. I thought it was fine. I do think that maybe it could have been a little bit shorter and just really hit those bullet points. But I did like the segment as a whole. Kishem M says Carmella should win the title. Her character is actually the best on the main roster right now. Do you agree with that, Ryan?
I would disagree. She's the best on the main roster right now, but I think she's doing a hell of a job in the position she's in, where she's at now. I would say the best character on the main roster right now is probably Roman, because he's killing it as a heel, and she's killing it as a heel. I think they're both doing a great job.
Yeah, as much as I like Carmella and I like everything that she's doing right now, I definitely do not want to see her with the belt, just because right now it's Sasha Banks' time. And I feel like it's Sasha Banks' time, and there's still so much leg to do, so much that they can do with Sasha Banks as a champion. Everybody still wants to see it. I know it's going to be a while till we even get there based on how things are looking, but everybody wants to see that money match between Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. And it feels like forever away, but who knows? You never know. It might happen sooner rather than later. So for me, I just feel there's more upside to Sasha Banks being champion than Carmella. Carmella feels like, a person that she's just, going to get to until she eventually gets to an even bigger program.
Plus, Sasha has never really got to have a good long run with a title. Every time she wins a belt, it seems like she loses it right away. She deserves a nice long run as the champion.
I agree. Philip Shaven says, don't like this Carmella. Bring back the old Carmella. No, I mean, I'm open. I'm open to them trying new things. I'm open to this new Carmella. And like I said, she's exceeded my expectations. I like what she's been doing so far. So I can't necessarily say that I would just want to see the old Carmella. Plus, it might get too repetitive. People get tired of that. It depends. Colossus Rossi says, we give her a lot of crap, but everything she's in, she tries her hardest. Yeah, and I think you can always see that with people when, they come out, and even if they're given a character that maybe they're not necessarily fond of, there are people that are, able to really make it work. So there you go. That was the segment. Overall, I didn't think it was bad. I am a little sad that they did have this match last week with Carmella and Sasha Banks. I thought that the hype would have been a lot stronger had they really waited until TLC. Did that take away any of the hype for you, having to see the match last week?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I think you always want to save things. You want to let the pot simmer a little bit when it comes to like angles like that. And that's why what I like about the Kevin Owens Roman Reigns thing right now. I keep segueing back to that, but I just, you're kind of building up to let's see what happens. Where when you give it away for free on television, why would you want to watch it on pay-per-view?
Exactly. For me, yeah, it just takes a little bit of the hype down for me. And let's jump into this next one. So this is Otis with Chad Gable versus Shinsuke Nakamura, who has Cesaro on his corner. This was a very brief match, you can say. Otis did win this match. How did you feel about this? And how do you feel about Shinsuke Nakamura and where he's at right now in, what he's doing right now with the company?
Well, I don't think they've ever really, other than the WrestleMania match with AJ and some of the stuff that he's been able to do, it's like he's just kind of been, I mean, this guy was a legend in Japan. I mean, he still is a legend in Japan. And he's just sort of like somebody used the term criminally underused. It's another one of those guys. It's like, why did you even bother signing him? Because you really haven't done anything with him. And if I were him, I would be heading back to New Japan in a heartbeat. That's just my feeling on it, because it's just he's another guy like we talked about Bobby Roode or like Dolph Ziggler. Although Ziggler's had a couple runs with the title, it's almost like now they're just kind of treading water where they're at, and it's kind of sad when you see somebody that's that talented. And granted, they're making great money. I mean, they're there because they're making great money, but it's just the fact that you see this guy that you could believe in your heart is going to give you so many more great matches, and as a fan, it's frustrating.
Right. No, I completely get what you're saying. I think that in terms of where people expected Shinsuke Nakamura to go to where he's at right now is definitely a difference. So, I mean, it does, suck to see, but it also feels like the time has passed now for him on the roster. And I don't know if that's like the best way of putting it, but it really does feel like the time has sort of passed on him. And it's unfortunate because I see it in terms of like waves. Like you get this wave where like you could ride it out and, do all of this stuff. And then afterwards you don't get that. And you end up being slotted. Really, you do.
All right, I agree.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that I think are just kind of riding out their contracts and making all the money they can make before they retire.
Right. So this next segment, the first ever Sami Awards. I just got to start off by saying that I was a fan of this, but we have Sami Zayn coming out in his like a maroon suit. He's got his slick hair back. I almost didn't recognize him for a second. He comes out with his red little podium with the little logo on the front, and he does a year-end review where he recaps his career for the year, and then he gives himself an award. Well, two actually. Comeback of the year, he defeated Edge, he defeated Roman Reigns, and he gets his Sami Award. Then he also wins for match of the year with his triple threat match at Clash of Champions. And then after that, superstar of the year does not go as planned for Sami. Instead, as we saw earlier on, Big E, switched the envelopes, puts Big E's name. Big E wins. He comes out, accepts his award. He starts thanking everybody. Sami Zayn is freaking out. And then he punches him. Big E punches Sami Zayn, and they go at it. What did you think of the first ever Sami Awards?
Well, first of all, I would like to thank the Academy for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this segment. No, I thought it was funny. I thought it was great. By the way, I brought that Academy Award in here just to pop you.
No, I appreciate it.
As soon as I saw the Sami Awards, I thought, you know what? I got to do something to make Denise laugh. Anyway, no, I thought it was great.
I didn't expect it. It just popped in, and I was like, oh, okay, we got an award here. This is what's happening on the show.
No, I thought it was funny, and it continues to help build Big E. I mean, I think that's the thing. One thing Sami's been able to do over his time in WWE is get other guys over. He's been able to, play that kind of joking heel, kind of the Joker role, sort of, and get other guys over where they can be serious and he can be the kind of the comedy, the guy that slips on the banana peel, so to speak. And I thought it worked perfectly tonight. I thought it went well, and I still think that there's lots of upside for Big E. I think that it's going to happen for him. I think if they do the right thing with him, the fans will really get behind him. He's very likable. He's got, we talked about Tamina not having like ring presence earlier. Well, Big E does. And he does. He can command a crowd. So he has an opportunity to really be a big time star on the singles level.
Paul Kronkowski says, so does it look like Big E didn't really take to heart what Heyman told him on Talking Smack? He still was his goofy self. How do you feel?
I'm just messing with you. Just messing with you.
We're having fun here. We're having fun. Bring in all the awards. I don't have any awards to show off, unfortunately, so I'm left out on the dust here. But how do you feel about those comments that were made by about Big E that he couldn't, be taken seriously because, he's a, goofy guy. Do you think that goofiness is allowed? Like, can he get over with that goofiness, or do you think he really does have to strip that?
My argument would be how goofy was The Rock sometimes. The Rock did a lot of comedy stuff, and he became the biggest star in Hollywood after he left. But, you have to show those two different sides. I think when it's time to flip the switch and be serious, it's okay for a guy to, on the other side, do a little bit of comedy stuff.
Exactly. Jake Larson says, I don't know how the writing process works. Either Sami is assigned a great writer or he has influence in making all his segments just work so naturally. I think a lot of it is definitely, I say that sometimes, people are given roles or they're given characters and sometimes they can make it work, sometimes they can't. I really think that Sami Zayn is one of those people that no matter what he gets, he'll find a way to make it work because I really do think he has this natural charisma and this natural personality. And it's hard when somebody has that to not make it work. He's making it click. And yeah, there are some moments where, we prefer for him not to be, looked at as like a goofball in a negative sense, but more as in a positive way,
Yeah, I mean, again, you have to. I mean, everybody did comedy. I mean, look at some of the spot. Ric Flair is considered probably the greatest wrestler of all time, but he always did the spot where he fell flat on his face. It's just kind of it's kind of a natural part of being a heel is that you look sort of like an idiot once in a while, and that's your job. That's what gets the baby faces over. That's what makes them look like badasses is because the other guy is such a goofball.
Michael Campbell says Sami needs to be more than a comedy act. I feel like he's doing the best with what he's given. Really, I do think that. Because in the ring, he's fantastic. So what more is there?
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think he's going to give you a great match every time out. I mean, he's struggled with some injuries. I mean, he's a veteran. He's been around a lot of years, but he's still going to be able to give you a really great match. And the thing that is incredible about him is his promo ability. I mean, it's so good on the microphone that you have to watch him. You never know what he's going to say next. And that's what, that makes it must-see TV.
Marcus Brown says, Denise and Ryan, do you all think this is leading to a Biggie Intercontinental title match and win? Because I do. I'm tired of Sami. He should turn face and tag with Kevin Owens again. What do you think, Ryan?
I'd agree with Marcus 100%. I think Big E's getting the Intercontinental title.
But do you think that Sami should turn face and tag with Kevin Owens again?
I don't know. I think Sami works so good as a heel. Like I said, I really like Kevin as a babyface, and I like Sami as a heel. I just, Sami's so funny. But in another way, it's one of those things that after all this time, to see them reunite, it would pop the crowd because the people are going to go crazy. Well, I mean, there is no crowd right now, but
yeah.
But if there was a crowd, no, I think that people, anytime you see like, two people reunite in wrestling, it always seems to get a reaction. And now it might be a negative reaction sometimes, but no, I mean, I could see that. I just, I don't know. Right now, I think Sami's doing such a hell of a job as the bad guy, the goofball bad guy, that they should just leave him in the role he's in.
I do think so too. I agree with that. I think that I want to obviously, in order for Biggie to get to that, championship level, I think building him up as Intercontinental Champion would be great. But I also really like not really like what they're doing with Sami Zayn, but I like the potential that there could be with Sami Zayn. I think that's more of where I'm trying to get at. Benjamin Krimmel says, what would you rate the show tonight? Let's say, I don't know, out of 5 stars, what would you give it?
3.5, I guess. Wouldn't you say it's about there? Like it was good, not great. I would say again, the 2 tag matches really kind of turned me off, but there was some good stuff. Again, the Roman and Kevin stuff was really good. The Sami awards were great. It just it's SmackDown is it's 2 hours of you see one segment and you go, that was really good. And then the next segment comes on and you go, it's not terrible, but not necessarily my cup of tea.
Right. I think I feel you on that because I think that was the ballpark where I was hitting at like 3 stars as well. But I'm not as generous with my star giving stuff. If I'm going to give somebody a star, it's got to be a very, very well earned star. So that 3 stars is actually 3 well earned stars. Let's get into our last topic of the day. Bianca Bel Air versus Bayley. What did you think of this match? I know a lot of people were a little bit torn on the end result with Bayley winning. What did you think of the match? What did you think of the finish, etc.?
Well, I love the idea of Bianca chasing the title. like for a while, making her kind of, because she's sort of still new, to everybody. But as I'm watching that match, and I thought when I talked to you tonight, I don't know, 22 years ago, I saw this kid doing all these moves in the ring, and I asked the guy next to me, I said, "What's this guy's name?" And he said, "Oh, it's AJ Styles." And she moves like, she is to me the best female athlete in pro wrestling today. I have never seen a woman, and obviously she was a college athlete, she was a track star in college and everything else, but I'm just blown away by her explosiveness, her power, the way she moves. I am a huge fan of Bianca Belair. I'm sure she's certainly going to get the title someday, but no, I kind of like the idea of her kind of having to lay back in the cut, so to speak, and have to chase the belt for a while. But there's no doubt that, I mean, she's so explosive. I like I said, I've never seen a female. Charlotte is amazing as an athlete. I think Tess is amazing as an athlete, but I think Bianca is as far as pure athleticism, the best female I've ever seen in the ring.
I think she makes things look easy. I think that's what it is too, and very impressive as well. iChurch Pastor Blaster says, I rarely get triggered about wrestling, but how they did Bianca tonight made no sense. Did it bother you that she lost?
I mean, I'd love to see her win the belt. I mean, that's the thing, though. But you got to kind of stir the pot, as I said earlier. You got to let it build. I mean, you got to make the fans hungry for that to happen. So when she finally does win it, it'll mean more. And she, again, she's every match she goes out there, she's amazing. She's just so gifted. And so when she finally does hit that big move, or make that one big spot, and finally catches the belt, finally wins the title, it'll mean so much more to the fans, I believe.
We have another comment from iChurch Pastor Blaster who says, you need to protect her, though. Bayley has been losing these matches and loses pretty clean. That was the thing, too, is that Bianca was sort of, on a roll. And personally, I was kind of surprised that they had her lose. And obviously they tried to protect her in the way that she lost, with Bayley raking her in the eyes. I get that, but I don't know. See, I didn't love this and I didn't hate it. The only reason why I didn't love this was because I feel that Bianca Belair has something going for her right now, and they shouldn't take any of that momentum away. But then at the same time, I was like, okay, she lost to Bayley. Bayley isn't just anybody. Bayley is this established, wrestler. So it's not like she just lost to anybody. So I'm a little bit torn on this because I didn't love it and I didn't hate it either.
Yeah, I loved the match. Like I said, I love any Bianca match because she just does so many things that, just are like eye-popping almost. Again, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. We agree way too much, by the way. This would be a lot better show if we yelled at each other and stuff. But no, seriously, I loved the match. I love her, their work in the ring. But again, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I would love to see Bianca win the belt, but I know that when it finally happens, I'm going to pop for it big time.
John L. Jackson says, a lot of people going to see Bianca Bel Air go after Sasha Banks. It's a match everybody wants to see. Yeah, I just mentioned it on the show, and that's definitely something that I think we all want to see, right?
Right. I mean, it's going to happen eventually. I mean, everybody just stay patient, stay calm. It's going to happen. She's going to get that belt because, let's face it, not only that, she and her husband both have huge futures in WWE. They're probably, speaking of another person who's a great athlete, I mean, they're both genetically just gifted. And, Montez eventually, I'm sure, will be a single star, and he'll probably win the Intercontinental title or be somebody in kind of that level. And she'll probably be the women's champion. They're just, they're kind of, again, they're stirring the pot. They're just waiting for, the stew to boil, and she'll be ready. When she's ready, she'll get the belt.
Right. And then we do have another comment from iChurch Pastor Blaster who's bringing up a lot of points. He says, Bayley just got beaten clean by Natty 2 weeks ago, and Bianca needs the momentum. I feel this strong because it feels like what they did with her in NXT. And yeah, I agree with a lot of what iChurch Pastor Blaster is saying. That's why I said I was torn on this one, but I do feel that don't take away Bianca's momentum. Really don't. Let's build her up so that when we finally get that moment with her and Sasha Banks, that, it's going to feel like a big deal, and I think that's what we all want. We want to feel this big deal going into this. So, I mean, that was the show. Obviously, we talked about Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens, which was the majority of the show at the top of the stream. And I think they really did a good job today. I thought this was probably one of the best SmackDowns that we've had in a little while, especially going into TLC. That is a good thing. Before we go, do you have any final thoughts, Ryan, on SmackDown or anything that you're looking forward to for TLC?
Well, I will say this. I mean, because obviously what we're going to hear about, I think, out of this show, it was a good show. What we're going to hear about from all the pundits out there is how low the ratings were because it was on FS1. It was preempted by the Pac-12 championship on Fox. So it's probably going to get a low rating because it's on a lower tier cable channel. But overall, I mean, I thought they did a good job tonight. I've been really kind of enjoying watching these shows in the last few weeks. I can't hardly sit through Raw. But SmackDown just kind of flows for me. There are moments I don't like, but I thought the show overall was pretty good.
It's a nice steady 2 hours. I thought that the show went by really fast tonight. And I know I didn't feel this way last week. And even then last week I thought was pretty okay. But I thought today's show really sped through, especially that opening segment with Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens. And also the way that it ended. It felt like the way it should end heading into a pay-per-view.
I'd absolutely agree. 100%.
And we'll answer this last question because I think this is a good one to end the show with. Colossus Rossi says, last question. What do you think KO is jumping off at TLC? Any bold predictions?
Probably a ladder would be my guess.
I think that's a pretty safe guess. I completely agree with you. I think we're all just like, what's he going to jump off? Because he said he wanted to jump off a ship at WrestleMania. So that's definitely in everybody's, mind. It's going to be a good match, though. Really good match. Alrighty, everyone. There you go. That was our show for today. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. If you did, do not forget, if you haven't already, subscribe to all Sportskeeda pages, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all of them. Make sure to support Sportskeeda and continue the channel and continue our show growing, etc. Ryan, I want to thank you so much for coming in and filling in. Once again, you were incredible. Ryan, where can people find you on social media?
On social media, you can follow me on Facebook at Ryan K. Boman and on Twitter at Ryan K. Boman. And of course, you can follow me at Sportskeeda.
Exactly. Awesome. By the way, Paul wants to know if there's any predictions for TLC. We actually did one. It's on Sportskeeda. You can go and check it out. John Alba and I did a prediction show for TLC where we run down all the matches. We run down our picks. We talk about the storylines going into it. It is a jam-packed show. So make sure to check it out if you want to hear our TLC predictions. Other than that, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to this stream. I'm Denise Salcedo. Feel free to give me a follow at _Denise Salcedo. Follow Ryan Boman, and we'll see you back here next week.